So this is a month after we have applied this manicure, the shellac. And here's the thing. The nails were perfect up to last week. And then my client started to work, and this is what happened. Obviously, they kind of got damaged. And you can see that the right hand is a little bit more damaged than the other one. So today we are going to be removing the shellac and probably doing Dazzle Dry manicure, because that is obviously much easier to remove. And you see, this is the thing. Very often, this happens very often, where people kind of want to, I'm not saying that this client, but that's what happens sometimes, push because it looks good 2 weeks later. But it's better to have it removed, because if you don't remove it, you end up with more damage, because the product somehow it pulls on the nails and it can damage the nails. And gloves are not helping. I think sometimes gloves make things worse because they cause the hands to sweat and the nails to get wet, and you're still hitting the nails with your hands, and you still can damage. So the product moves a lot. In case of this client, her nails are quite hard, but if someone has flexible nails, it can cause even more damage. So normally with CND Shellac, they teach you not to remove the shine, but I'm going to remove the shine. It makes it easier for the product to come off. And it's been on the nails for 4 weeks now, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to remove. So I'm going to use these pads things and wrap the nails. And I prefer to use pure acetone. Have you guys seen lately, you see some nail technicians use baby powder when they're doing manicure, because you can see where the cuticle is, you can see where the skin is, you can see everything. Because when the hands, when the nails are very wet or when there's oil, you kind of, like, it looks good, but you kind of can't see what's going on. So with acetone, it's almost like the baby powder, because it kind of dries out the surface temporarily and you can see everything. And this is why I like to use it. The CND Awfully Fast Remover has oils, so it will make the nail look better, but I like to see what's really going on. And I find it's a little bit sticky, and I do like the smell, but after a while the smell kind of bothers me. So here's what I do, just break it like this. I have cut these ones into 5 pieces, and I'm not sure how I like it. So yeah, as I was saying, the CND remover has the oils, and it kind of is slippery and, I don't know, slides all over the place. Sticky as well. I'm going to start timing. The stop coat that I used is the original one, and I used the original one because we did a light color. We used a light color, and sometimes the Express 5, it discolors. And why? Because it's more porous and it can absorb different stains. And this one is actually very good. It didn't yellow, didn't pick up any colors. Sometimes it's actually a good idea to remove the thumb, or to wrap the thumb first, so it has a little bit more time to soak, because somehow, I don't know what it's why, the thumbs they take a little bit longer to soak off. Maybe because there's more product in it, I don't know. Okay, so it took me like 2 minutes to wrap the other hand, so we are at 2 minutes. So I'm going to wait until like 8 minutes and see how the first nail is coming off. Okay, we're gonna see 7 minutes. Let's see how the nails are. There you go. Perfect. Very nice. So I'm going to use this little gauze thing. I don't know where to get this gauze, by the way, guys. Everybody is asking. I brought a whole bunch in from Canada, and that's it. I don't have any more. And it's nice because it's very kind of coarse, and it grabs everything. It doesn't just slide on the nail. You know what I do sometimes? I start to just nudge back that skin fold, which is not a cuticle, by the way. So I'm leaving the cuticle behind. You see that white little line? That's the cuticle here. I can feel it. So I'm not trying to push back the cuticle, because the skin now it's a little bit softer and I have the time to do it. So I do this now. See, so I just kind of nudge it back, so then I can remove the cuticle from the nail plate. See, unfortunately, because it's almost like the shellac sticks to that first layer of the nail. What happens is then, when there is a trauma to the nail, it's like the nail itself separates, unfortunately, and you get like this kind of peeling. So we'll see even if I can do the polish, because if someone has a lot of peeling, I don't even recommend using polish, because the polish is going to just come off. Well, the nail is going to separate, it's going to peel, and it's going to take the layers with it, but we'll see. I had quite a few people ask about the ABX treatment. You know, it's additional product, additional time, additional cost. Would I recommend it? In this case, no. Sometimes when there is a lot of surface damage and like just a very porous surface of the nail, and the client doesn't want to do any coating, so any nail polish, nothing, to just kind of seal the surface of the nail, it's helpful if someone has, again, porous nails. This client doesn't have porous nails. Someone in the comment section was asking me, how do we decide what to use on the client? So I was kind of explaining it, but it's a very interesting topic. It's a combination of things. So sometimes people come with ideas, obviously, what they would like. And sometimes that's not an ideal option for them. So it's my job to explain what is and what isn't possible, or what is the best thing for them. And which is not the most expensive thing usually. I kind of really don't like the idea of upselling, going for the most expensive service, because very often the most expensive service is not what they need. So the best, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to do the best, like recommend what's the best for the client, and then let them decide. So this nail was broken and it has grown out nicely. It was kind of broken here, so now that break is here. So I'm going to shorten it. Let's see how the other thumb is looking. And as you can see, it's been 12 minutes on this hand. The product is not coming off like the CND advertises. And I hate to say it, but the product usually comes off like the butterfly. It has that butterfly effect when it's freshly applied, but not when it has been on the nails for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I think what happens is over time the product gets a little bit more denser or something, maybe harder, and it does not come off like this. Maybe the bond gets stronger, I have no idea. And it does not come off as easily. And sometimes people are saying, well, just what if you like twist it off? But no amount of twisting is going to take this off. right? This is like, it comes off very easily, but you have to like push it off. So I'm going to use just a pretty generic ceramic bit just to shorten the nails. And I get a lot of people asking why I don't use clippers. I don't like clippers. They can actually crack the nail, I find. And because I'm using the e-file already, this is a fine bit, by the way, then I might as well use this. And this is really, really effective. And you're not putting any pressure on the nail. I'm just shortening, I'm not shaping the nails. I'm going to shape by hand, like using the diamond file. So there is no way of, well, you could kind of glue it with IBX, for example, this lifted part, but it's going to come off, you know, if the client is wearing gloves within a day. So I'm just going to see if I can kind of get it off this way, because this is very superficial. Let's see. And again, I'm using e-file because I'm very skilled with it. It's like my second, third hand. But I do not recommend using it if you don't have very good training with it, because you can do more harm than good. And I like to use it because it's very, very precise. I can touch the area and I can go. I don't have to, you could use a buffer for this, but buffer applies pressure to the surrounding area and this doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. So because I know that this nail is already thinner, I'm going to shorten it and instruct the client to keep shortening it until the damaged part grows out. And this is a very, very good advice to anyone who has damaged nails, because I see it very often that people try to grow out their nails when their nails are not healthy and they have surface damage. It's almost like when you have like fry ends, you know, on your hair, and trying to really hold on to those really damaged areas. Any hairdresser is going to tell you just cut it off. It's going to look better when it's cut off. It's the same thing with this, and it's actually even better to shorten them, because now if you have a damaged nail in this area and you're applying a lot of pressure, this is going to bend too much and it's going to damage that nail in that stress area. So it's better to keep it short. You're going to have less bend and the nails are going to grow out better. I'm going to compare these two. By the way, these products, so gel polishes, even nail polish to a degree, they do not dry out the nails, because any of these products actually raise moisture level in the nail plate. So when you see those white spots, it's not dryness, it's surface damage. So I'm getting underneath here, towards the middle, and repeating on the other side. Now I even forgot how far I have gotten with the nudging here, but I think here. So as you can see here, nudging the skin back, skin fold, and not the cuticle. See, the cuticle is the white stuff here. Okay, see? The white is cuticle, above here is skin fold. And what people think is a cuticle, they think that edge here that looks a little bit different, that's a cuticle. No, that's the edge of the skin fold. And it's also called keratinized edge of the proximal nail fold. So it just has more keratin because it's a little bumper, but the cuticle is here underneath. Now there's a huge difference between dry skin and hard skin. So in order to have a nice manicure, I exfoliate the hard skin a little bit. But this is not to remove dry skin, because you can't remove dry skin with filing. So what I do is I just gotta go over the area. There's a lot of lifting here. So I'm going to do this little, you see how precise I can be with this? It's incredible. So I'm just softening up that hardened skin, especially, I mean, when people work with their hands, that's very, very common. But the dry skin is going to be dry until, you know, we take care of the skin. So I get that sometimes, these comments too, that I left a lot of dry skin. Well, yeah. I can't magically fix someone's dry skin. So I gently exfoliate, bevel the free edge a little bit, and now remove the cuticle from the nail plate. By the way, you have to have very good glasses or extremely good eyesight, obviously, to do this. Some people like to use magnifiers, and I'm actually thinking about it. So if you guys have any knowledge about the magnifiers, like the dentists use, like the loupes, then let me know in the comment section. Back in Canada, I had a dentist who was telling me I should be, because I also did her nails, I should be using the loupes because she loves it, and it makes a big difference. So I'm curious what you guys think. Get the edge here. So I will be able to do polish because the peeling was very, very superficial. So when you're looking at the nail from an angle, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's not a lot of nail missing. There is just very, very thin layer that kind of peeled off. But it was not a huge, there's not like a huge layer missing. And I don't think naturally these nails are prone to peeling like this. So I think we can risk it. But you see, when the nail polish kind of chips, it will chip and that's it. It's kind of more brittle. It's not going to pull the rest of the nail with it. But with shellac, there are often people are or shellac or gel polish, the flexible products, people are very tempted to just peel it off, which causes a lot of damage. By the way, I have this machine set to 8,000 RPM, and because this is a pretty small bit, it's at 8,000. Because if you are using like a sanding band, which I don't recommend obviously for this work, but for prepping the natural nail before enhancement application, I guess you could use. I used to use sanding bands. You could use like a lower RPM, like 5,000 or something. So you just have more surface. And by the way, I'm talking about this to nail professionals, really, because honestly, guys, please don't be tempted to use a file if you don't have to. So my needs are different from an average person's needs, and honestly, you don't need electric file to do a beautiful manicure. And this is why, because you know, I have clients coming in every 2 weeks. I don't have anyone coming every week, and in many cases once a month or even less often, right? So there was more cuticle, there was sometimes more hard skin. I also apply the nail polish right away after the manicure. Normally I would like to dry out the nails for about an hour. Let's say if I do like a manicure with a cuticle remover, because the nail plate, when it's exposed to water, it absorbs a lot of the water, and then the nail polish might not last as long. So you might want to just dry the nails out a little bit, so the water evaporates from the nail plate and the nail plate shrinks a little bit, and then apply the polish. I mean, ideally. It does make a difference sometimes with pedicures, I find. That's what I really prefer to do, dry pedicures. By the way, you are looking at a HEPA filter. This is an excellent thing that I can't imagine working without. This machine, I think it's like over 1,000 euros. So these are not the filters that you would buy for like 23 euros or something. So these are really good machines, and they're very quiet, and I highly recommend them. These ones are made, this is the Nova Flare, they're made in Germany, and they're excellent. They suck in all the dust, even very small particles, and they're quite powerful. I have it on minimum speed, I guess. You could have it set much higher, and this is barely, you can barely hear it. Like we can have it's like a humming noise. We can have a very good conversation here. And sometimes people don't even realize that this is on, and they're like, oh yeah, I can feel something here. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be breathing in this dust. And it doesn't matter if you're doing natural nails or if you're doing, I mean, again, as a nail technician, if you're doing your own nails, you absolutely don't need a $1,000 filter. But if you're doing this for a living, I would say you do. Because we're doing this all day, every day, right? So you want to have a good equipment. If you're just doing your own nails once a week, it's a different situation. And you really are breathing in your own cooties, right? So I guess it's not that dangerous. All right, I'm going to use a little buffer. I have a link to them. I just want to make sure that the surface there's no catches. Very gently. You don't want to be over filing or over buffing, because buffing always removes layers. So you want to do it as little as possible, in order, because you are using this first because you don't want to have any huge catches, and also to improve the adhesion of the polish to the nail. So it's kind of price you pay for good adhesion. But very often if I buff the nails, so let's say if this client came in next week, let's say, I would not buff it again. Sometimes if I could feel that there is pieces of skin that I can't get or something, then I would just go over this area like on an angle, and I would just bevel the free edge, but I wouldn't be buffing on top. But we removed the shellac. There was some peeling. This is 240 grit, I believe. And because it's a sponge, it does not really, it hugs the nail. It doesn't remove too much. But still, if you do that a few times, you can remove too much. But I'm not sure about the shape. I look at the nails from this angle. And I'm going to round off this corner, even though it's not looking perfect now. But I just know it's going to snap if I leave it like this longer. I always prefer to use these brushes, not the fluffy brushes, because the fluffy brushes cannot be disinfected properly in between clients. These brushes I just use and then I wash them and I soak them. And these natural hair brushes, they are pretty, but actually in Canada we could never use them because anything that is touching the client had to be disinfected. So I kind of follow these rules. By the way, in Ontario we had a very good regulations. I can't complain. Okay, so I'm going to use the nail prep from Dazzle Dry. Let's make sure that I get into the sides and underneath. Let them dry. And at this point I always tell client not to touch anything, because sometimes people, they go and they scratch their face and they have makeup on, and this would not be a good time. Okay, people always get scared when they see this polish because they think they're going to have like a bubblegum pink nails, and this is almost clear. So some people love to wrap the free edge. I'm going to show you what I mean. Like this. And some people don't. And I really don't see a huge difference. Maybe if the nails are longer, you see a difference, but when the nails are shorter, I don't. I don't wrap the free edge on my nails, and the polish does not peel. Nothing happens. So I think when the polish shrinks, sometimes it's a sign of the nail polish being too thick or the top coat being too thick. So it shrinks because of that, not because you didn't wrap the free edge. but see for yourself, see what works for you. And if it makes a difference, then rub the free edge. But it's hard to do it yourself on your own nails. I always want to make sure that the base coat is fully dry, so it has to be matte everywhere. You want to make sure that there is no shiny edges anywhere, because if you have wet base coat, this polish will stick to that base coat, and I don't know, it damages the polish, I think, over time. And this is my favorite, Stardust. So as you can see, this is already, and I didn't dry it in between, already dry, so it's becoming matte. And this is when we know that is dry. So it's important to keep the top coat always at a perfect consistency, and the polish too. So you want to make sure that when you are placing an order, even your first order, to order the Revive or whatever it's called. Revive, I think. And that's their thinner, because the polish is so quick drying that eventually it's going to dry in your bottle, and you're not going to have good results. It's much more difficult to paint, and then you get shrinking as well. So you want to make sure that you have the top coat at a perfect consistency, and you never thin out the base coat. The base coat has to be put in a hot water to make it clear. That's it. I find when the top coat is, sorry, when the base coat is older, it takes a little bit longer to dry. And it applies almost a little bit thicker or something. But you can't thin it out. So now we're going to give these nails a 5-minute dry time. Okay, 5 minutes. And this is actually like 3 minutes, and it's not tacky anymore, but I'm going to give it 5 full minutes. This is incredible how quickly this dries. This is absolutely gorgeous, I love it.